Confidence is overrated. This is what gets men results. So what I mean by this is I am not saying that confidence isn't an attractive quality to women. In fact, confidence is usually the most attractive quality that women look for. The problem with confidence is that if you are not confident already, building confidence and just saying, hey, be confident is really bad advice. And I don't find that people are confident 100% of the time. For instance, the jock in high school, he's probably very confident in his senior year. But after that, when he's graduated, everybody's kind of moved out, everybody's gone to college. Is he going to be as confident with those women who have a college degree, who have a better job than him, and he's still at home with his mother? Probably not. His confidence is probably very, very low. So confidence can't always be relied upon. You're not always going to be super confident 100% of the time. Now, what I advocate for my clients and what we help build them is we help build an environment where they can be confident on a consistent basis. So you can't be confident all the time, but your environment really plays a role. So you can be confident there. The problem with this, though, is that building this environment is a challenge and it does take time. So what I've found that helps more than confidence is this quality. And this is a quality, like, stick with me to the end because I'm going to explain exactly why it's so important. I think that courage is much more valuable than confidence. And here's why. Because a courageous person is going to take effort. Now, you got to combine, I should specify, you got to combine courage with consistency and effort. If you show courage one time, all right, that's better than nothing, but it's not going to be the main thing. The reason why courage coupled with hard work is really important is because when you're starting out, you are not confident, but you can be courageous. Courage is when you are fearful, when you are afraid, and you still take action despite those fears because you are betting on the fact that good things will happen in the future. I'm going to be afraid during that first approach because I'm afraid she might reject me. I'm afraid people might look at me and laugh. I'm afraid of, putting myself out there and telling myself that maybe I'm not as good as I thought I was. There's a bunch of things that go into fear and everybody experiences this. But the guy who spends all of his time relying on confidence is not going to be as capable as the guy who relies on his courage. Courage is something that we are all going to have to use and we are all going to have to face at some point. But if you're a guy who has only relied on confidence, I'm only going to approach when I feel good. I'm only going to approach or do the thing when I feel good about it. Yeah, if you're confident, you'll probably feel good when you do the thing. But most of the time, you don't feel confident. When I go and approach somebody, bro, I've been in a relationship for 4 years. So when I do my approaches on video, I'm nervous. Why? Because I haven't freaking done it in forever. So I know how to do it, but I'm going to feel nervous. And I know I'm going to feel nervous when I do it. The most important quality for me to have is courage, just to push through that tough barrier to get to where I need to get to. This happened when I filmed the practical approaching system. This happened when I was filming approaches in Miami last year. This is going to happen this year when I film again. Things happen and you have to have courage to face them, and courage consistently is the thing that you need to have, because I find that the guy who relies on confidence, he's good sometimes, but he doesn't stay consistent. The guy who shows courage on a consistent basis and who has the work ethic to go out and do it will be confident after a certain amount of time. Why? Because he's done a lot of approach. When you've done a lot of approaches, you build up social momentum, you build up a reliance and skill. All of those things are going to make you better at doing the thing that you've done because you know you've done it in the past. But if you haven't done it yet, building that confidence requires the courage that we are talking about. The question now becomes, how do you build that courage in your life? Well, start small. Start by doing small things that freak you out. Start by having that little bit of nerves, those little bit of butterflies you get. And the more consistently you are at handling those butterflies, the more consistent that you can be to taking action. And when you take action consistently, you get better at doing that thing, and that builds confidence. And so guys will come to me and they'll be like, Lloyd, how do I just be confident? You show courage first. That's what all my clients learn at the beginning of the program, and they exercise that throughout the end. And so if you build this on a consistent basis, you're going to be able to do much, much better with women. I can predict with 100% confidence who is going to get great results at the beginning of my program and who is not. The guy who is not going to get results in my program is the guy who refuses to exercise courage, but maybe has a lot of confidence. I have a lot of guys who come in that actually do quite well with women, but they come in and they rely on this confidence, and because of that, they are not willing to push through the hard times. There will always be hard times. Even if you're already good with women, to get better is going to require you to embarrass yourself. It's going to require you to do things that you're not totally, comfortable with. And to do those things, it's going to require courage. I've seen guys who were good at the beginning totally fall to the wayside. When I first got into this, I saw so many guys that were naturally good with women that I blew past within 6 months. And it was because I was willing to fail. I was willing to be awkward. I was willing to push through that. And then when we started kind of becoming at the same level where I was, walking up and approaching, and I might not have gotten as great reactions as them at first, but then they started to get better and better, and they saw me creeping up to them. And then I could tell that they started to get a little bit more nervous about it. And then when their confidence left them at the tough situations or the really high quality women or the new and weird situations that they weren't familiar with, they had never practiced courage. And because of that, they were not successful in those situations. The women didn't want to go home with them. And guess who they wanted to get with? Me. For once, it was me. It was finally my time to shine. And the reason why I was able to do it and succeed there where my natural guy friends weren't was because I exercised courage on a consistent basis. And I think there are guys where if they're really good looking or, really rich or they have a lot of status or like they just get a lot of attention from women, they even admire guys who do that because they themselves have been put in situations where they're not like that. And they know that if they don't have that confidence, they can't do well. So my advice is don't rely on confidence, rely on courage, rely on effort. And if you do those over a consistent basis, you will get good at this. There's no other solution. Thanks for watching, you guys. If you made it to the end, consider subscribing. Good luck out there.